Hey everyone, this is Daniel.
And I'm Jun,
And we are
Korean.
American.
Good morning.
Hey Jun.
You look very Korean today.
Do I?
Yes.
Oh. Maybe it's because I'm wearing my new clothing from
I can see that you got your new, your hoodie.
Yeah.
And then your shirt's new. And then I can see that you got your cap.
Yeah.
That's a new thing too?
No, I've had this hat. This hat is from Muji.
Uh-huh.
And then my hoodie and sweater are from Musinsa.
Musinsa standard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, is standard different from Musinsa?
Musinsa is like a fashion platform.
Ah.
Like the app and the website. And then they launched a new online store, which is called Musinsa Standard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like the Kirkland signature of Costco.
Exactly.
It's like Musinsa Standard, their own line.
Yes.
Oh, so Musinsa is not a clothing... Well, originally it wasn't a clothing brand.
It's a platform, like a shopping platform.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Originally, it started off from the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah.
From a fashion sharing online community.
Oh,
kind of.
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's short for 무진장 신발 사진 많은 곳.
I had no idea it was
Like a place
Shulema.
where it's a place where people just came and uploaded their shoes.
Yeah.
So it's a place where there are a lot of shoe pictures.
Yeah.
무진장 신발 사진 많은 곳.
Oh.
And then the short for that was 무신사.
Yeah.
And then it became this. It grew up to be a online fashion platform in general.
Just for sharing fashion trends or what?
That's where it started off
Yeah.
with. But then it became a shop, commerce, fashion commerce platform. But then now, they launched their own line.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of a success, like Cinderella story, no?
It is. It's crazy, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Started off as a website for sharing shoe pictures and showing off your shoes.
Yeah.
And now it's a pretty big fashion platform.
Yes.
As well as now even their own, clothing line, right?
I heard that. So Musinsa Standard is their own someone quote unquote spa line.
What's spa?
Like the fast fashion.
Oh, fast fashion.
Yeah, Uniqlo, H&M kind of thing.
But why is spa short for that?
Let me check.
Spow is also a fashion brand here. I've seen that.
Oh, specialty store retailer of private label apparel.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, it's like your Uniqlo's, Zara's, H&M's.
Yeah.
It's like their own rendition of that. But I heard that their quality is actually a lot better than the others.
Thank you.
Because they're trying to push it very hard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just walking by. I was meeting my friend who's visiting from the Bay Area. JY, if you're listening, great seeing you a lot this weekend. But yeah, we were in, what is it, Shinonhyun, I think, that area of Gangnam. And yeah, I just walked by a Zara store and a Musinsa Standard store.
Yeah.
And I was curious because I need to update my wardrobe for the winter. It's coming up. And so just looking, I went in and bought some things.
They have I think they're a little bit more fashion forward than Uniqlo.
Okay. Yeah.
But then a little bit more basic than Zara.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, I think that's how they position themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm not into fashion. They seemed more streetwear-ish.
Yeah, kind of.
Zara was a little bit more, I don't know. What's the right term? Chic, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But we'll talk about Zara and Musinsa in a little bit. Oh yeah, we should talk about Uniqlo too.
Okay.
Because when Uniqlo, I feel like Uniqlo was
Yeah.
Uniqlo was, I think, the first of these, like you mentioned, I would call them Asian fashion brands.
Oh, really?
That are very simple and basic, right? That I remember when it first came, or the first store started opening up in the US. And again, I don't know the history, but when I first became aware of it, it was kind of a sensation, Uniqlo's here now.
Oh.
And it's just it was nice because you went there and it was relatively cheap. So I think it's in the bucket of fast fashion, which we should talk about later too. And, what the perception of fast fashion is, etc. But also just, I don't know. It felt like it was made for Asian bodies, let's say. And anyway, it was just like, oh, it's awesome. You can go there, get a bunch of basics and staples, and it looks good. It's cheap, and it's kind of feels like it's made for Asians. And so that was the first one. I don't know if there are more now, but at least that was my perception of Uniqlo. And I want to say it was in the maybe 2010s, early 2010s. When I first became aware of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your perception of Uniqlo is and this whole bucket. You're in Asia, you're in Korea, right? So maybe it's always been around. But I don't know what your perception of these brands are.
I know exactly what you mean, because when Uniqlo, I think, sort of started launching in the US is when I was in the US too. So yeah, all the Asian kids were like, oh, Uniqlo's here. And then, so I was living in Boston.
Yeah.
So like the number one thing that you had to do when you go to New York is go to the Uniqlo store.
To buy some clothes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
But was Uniqlo also in Korea at that time, as far as you know?
Pretty sure, yes.
Oh, so it's already in Korea.
Yeah. Yeah, but their brand is very unique in that, personally, at least. Because like fast fashion, when you hear fast fashion, it reminds you of like very, I guess, how would you call it? Like not very well made. Kind of.
Yeah, totally. No, that's
right? Like H&M in my mind has that kind of perception.
Yeah.
Right? But like Uniqlo coming from Japan, like that image of Japan, like Japanese craftsmanship, high quality, which I think Uniqlo kind of is. Right?
I feel like that.
Compared to the other like spa brands.
European fast fashion.
Yeah.
Is H&M European or American?
I think it's Swedish or something.
Yeah. So H&M, Zara, I think they're all fast fashion.
Yeah. It like at least for me, Uniqlo has like a more, at least a bit more well-made image to me.
Sorry, I left that out when I was talking about Uniqlo, right? Yeah, so that was the perception in America too.
Yeah.
Cheap, comfortable, high quality for the cost.
It is definitely made for the Asian body, but I also heard that whenever a fashion brand is exported or imported to another country, they like
they have to localize. Yeah.
So I don't know how much of an Asian body thing it was in the US. Definitely more than like their local brands though.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah. Even if they did adjust it or tailor it to Americans, even still it felt more like, oh, this like is for me.
Yeah. I also want to talk about your hair.
My hair?
Yeah.
What about my hair, Jun?
You look like a K-pop idol kind of with your hair.
My hair, so I think I'm due for another haircut.
Yeah.
But like I had mentioned on a previous episode, I may only have a limited amount of haircuts in Korea remaining.
Yeah.
So I want to make the most of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know what my next Korean hairstyle should be. So last time, again, I got the dandy cut with a down perm.
See-through, you said?
Dandy see-through, see-through, see-through dandy. But I don't know what to do now. I do want to dye it, but I don't want to dye it, which we'll get into later.
Okay.
Feels very, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about dyeing my hair. I've never done it before.
Right. Are you in the so-called 거지존?
거지존? Like
do you know what
beggar?
a 거지존 is?
거지 is beggar, right?
It is beggar,
like
but
homeless.
it's just a word that Korean people use to describe something that's not good. Not necessarily, so when you say 거지존, it doesn't necessarily mean that your hair looks like a beggar.
I see.
It's that phase of your hair, especially when you're trying to grow it out, that phase where it doesn't look good. It's not long enough that you look good having it long, nor is it short enough that you look neat, right? Like that phase where you have to sort of bear to grow out your hair.
I'm definitely in that phase now. It's funny that Koreans have like a term for it.
Yeah.
I think Americans would just call it, that awkward in-between haircut phase. There's no term
that's
for
exactly
it.
that, yeah.
I am definitely in that. And because I typically have a longer haircut cycle, I'm in that phase for most of my life. But I don't know what my next haircut should be. Anyway, I want to talk about haircuts too, but let's get to that later.
Okay.
June, but let's intro the topic for this week.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about the topic.
Which is fashion.
Yay!
And we've commented on fashion for sure in previous episodes, but just going a little bit deeper today and maybe more focused on fashion overall.
I think the entertainment's going to be on two 30s to 40 men that don't really know about fashion trying to talk about fashion. Okay, so we might be really off on certain topics today, but just bear with us. Or
as someone who has never cared much for fashion, thank you for that.
Are you in your most fashionable phase right now
in my life?
In your life?
Yes, I think that's true. I think I shared this on the pod though, Jun. In high school, remember we talked about high school superlatives or whatever. I actually won, 8th grade, was it? 8th grade.
Yeah.
Sometime when I was younger, within my class of about 100 kids, I won best dressed.
For your neon whatever jacket, was it?
I had a bright yellow Abercrombie jacket that I wore every day. But actually it was mostly because I have an older brother who's 7 years older. And I just wore his clothes. And my brother is much more, I guess, I think anytime you're younger and just wearing like older person's clothes. Yeah. So compared to my peers, I was just well dressed. But I've never, I think, had an eye for fashion or cared much about how I looked. So that's when I peaked, Jun, as far as my fashion sense or care. But yeah, I'd say apart from that in my adult life, now is definitely the most I've been aware of my aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I think even thought about fashion in my whole life. So yeah.
That's what 3.5 years of Korea brings you.
That is what it does. People just care more about it. But also I think to the point we always bring up of it being homogenous, you notice the differences more. Like the subtle differences stand out in Korea. Whereas in America, everyone looks so different. It's, you can't tell. There's no pattern matching, right? Yeah. Everyone's their own unique person. But because in Korea, everyone looks the same, you start to notice those small differences. Yeah.
Like when you recognize how quickly you adjust to certain environments, like I couldn't wear a lot of clothes that I used to wear in the States when I came back to Korea.
Yeah.
Even though it was like, it didn't look awkward when I was wearing it in the US.
The US, yeah.
And it also, not even living in the States, sometimes when you travel abroad and then you think that certain clothes look good.
Yeah.
In that like instant, you like adjust to that environment and think that it looks good. But then when you bring it back, it doesn't really fit in. Yeah.
Jun, I have a term for this. I call it Korea eyes.
Korea eyes?
Have I brought this up on the pod before?
It sounds oddly racist.
I never made that connection, but that does sound really racist. But no, I would define Korea eyes when you're traveling in Korea.
Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't long. I would be, my trips to Korea growing up were maybe 2 weeks at most. But you buy something that totally looks fine and would fit in Korea. And you go home, back to America, you unpack your luggage, and you look at that thing you bought, and you're like, why did I buy this?
What was I thinking?
I remember, I think I was in like high school or something, maybe college. My grandmother gave me, I think it was like, 10만 won, like $100. I bought this white blazer with baby blue pinstripes.
In Korea?
In Korea. And I was like, this was probably the 90s, maybe early 2000s. And I was like, this fits in, right? Everyone like looks cool wearing white jeans, whatever. And Jun, sadly, I did not wear that thing once in my whole life. I can't part with it because it's like sentimental to me because I bought it with my, my grandmother's spending money, 용돈, right?
Yeah.
So I can't get rid of it, but I've never worn it once. And it's so sad.
Remember? So it was pretty, if you used up all the $100, 10만 won for a blazer in the early 2000s, must have been a pretty pricey blazer.
I remember it was 69,000. So yeah, it was not
Remember
nothing.
The brand?
No, I don't remember the brand. But back then, I think when you went to I don't know if it was Myeongdong or Namdaemun, you could get kind of a tailored suit for about that much.
Yeah.
So not the highest quality suit, but you could get a decent suit.
Yeah.
So, 69,000 for the top half of a suit makes sense. Yeah. But maybe, Jun, do you remember what the US size clothing were? Like what did you buy in the US that you couldn't wear in Korea?
Mostly anything.
Oh, anything.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah. It just looks, how would I say it? Too unfashionable.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Because they were like usually like American Eagles and like those very baggy shorts that has like the pockets
Cargo?
Cargo, yeah.
Baggy shorts that have the...
It's so not in trend in Korea. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen cargo pants here.
I think it definitely was in trend in like the early 2000s or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gone.
Okay. Lots of things to talk about, actually.
But like, surprisingly, if you go to the US right now, their fashion hasn't changed that much. No. Compared to how different it is in Korea.
I have a perfect story for this. So, I think I was in my early 30s. Mm-hmm. No, maybe late 20s.
Yeah.
I was living with two other roommates, both Korean American. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys, AK, his girlfriend, one day, we just started talking about cargo pants. Mm-hmm. And she was like, guys, especially to her boyfriend at the time, now husband, she was like, can you please stop wearing cargo shorts? They make you look like a kid. They're so ugly. Why are you wearing cargo pants? You're not even going to use the pockets, right? You never put anything in there.
Yeah.
Just get rid of them. And like, all three of us were looking at each other like, I love cargo pants. Yeah. They're still cool, right?
It is the iconic look of the 90s, I think.
Yeah, and maybe
early 2000s.
So I don't know. At least for me, I'm like, that was the first time in my life where I felt judged for what I was wearing in America. Really.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever felt judged for my fashion sense.
But everyone was wearing cargo pants though, right? At that time.
Yeah, but by that point it was late 2000s. We were like in our late 20s, almost 30s.
Yeah.
And she was like, guys, grow up, get rid of your cargo pants. Let's move on with our lives.
I think cargo pants is very American. Isn't it? Like Abercrombie, American Eagle, that kind of look.
Exactly.
With the flip-flops.
Like
West Coast American look, I think. Yeah.
Well, I want to say, I think they're called carpenter pants.
Oh, cargo pants isn't the official term?
No. There's a separate thing I want to talk about related which is I think carpenter pants. I think they're just the jeans with like the hook where you're supposed to be able to like put a hammer or something.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? And I think very famously, this is why I'm bringing it up, it was Jinko jeans. Those were huge in Korea, right?
Jinko?
Jinko. JNCO, no?
JNCO, I have no idea.
I feel like it was the K-pop 90s HOT, like very baggy jeans with the carpenter hook that I'm thinking of.
I have no idea.
But at least, let's say in the Korean American community, these were all the rage. Everyone had a pair of Jinko jeans.
These definitely weren't a thing.
Oh, that's so interesting.
As far as I know. I've never heard of this.
JNCO?
No,
I assumed it was a Korean thing.
No.
What?
But I do resonate with the style, that it was like the late, like the millennial look kind of.
Oh, wow. Wait, Jinko was a LA company. Oh, so it wasn't a Korean brand. You know, that's crazy. I associated Jinko... I just assumed it was a Korean brand because it seemed like it was so popular specifically within it seemed Korean American community. That's crazy to me. Anyway.
I know that Tommy Hilfiger started off as like sort of like a hip hop street brand.
Yeah, you brought that up, which to me it's more like nowadays it's like the preppy look, but
I think they transitioned into that. For some reason, Tommy Hilfiger to me in the late 90s, it was more of a hip hop like baggy jeans kind of thing.
Okay, Jun, let's get back on track. Okay, let's first start talking about hairstyles.
Okay.
So one of the first observations I made when I moved to Korea, Korean men tend to wear their hair down and covering their, let's say, forehead more. And in America, at least my feeling was Asian Americans in general always had their hair very short and clean. Maybe with gel, like brush it to one side. That was like what most people were, let's say, how they were doing their hair in like a professional business world setting, right? It was so obvious to me, like I felt like I stood out because my hair was short and swept to one side, maybe with like a little bit of gel. And just no one, I felt like I was the only one with that hair in Korea. And so, I don't know when I started putting my hair down, but once I did, I just never went back.
I see.
Again, because it just felt like I felt more comfortable. I felt like I fit in more. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on why this might be. Like, why don't Korean men wear your haircut would look exactly like most Korean Americans or Asian Americans in general in America right now, at least when I left. So
I see.
Yeah.
I could interpret this in multiple factors. Number one, I think shorter hair is more of a masculine look on men. And I think American society in general is, again, I think more geared towards the masculine side compared to most Asian cultures.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, I think that's the look that everyone has in the US, not only Asian Americans, right?
Interesting.
Like, I don't see Caucasian men wearing their hair long either.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah, so I think it's just the style.
Yeah. That's true.
And also, maybe this is not true,
Yeah.
but because like Korean Americans, I know that they have like the 70s and 80s mindset. And that's the hair that men used to
Back
have.
then.
Yeah, kind of.
I like all three. But Jun, that's very interesting to me because I think you're right. I don't know if Asian American hairstyles tend to vary too much from, the broader hair trends in America.
Yeah.
But at least for me, because I think I recognize Asian hair is different, I only compare myself or think about my hairstyle through the lens of an Asian American man. That's so interesting. I don't know. I never even thought about, okay, what do non-Asian American men, what are their hairs like?
Yeah.
Because I'm only thinking and comparing myself to other Asian American men, right? I don't know. That's mind-blowing to me, Jun.
Yeah, I think American men generally have shorter hair.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because like when you're long, you have to take care of it. Yeah. Like you have to like get a perm, whatever. I would think that American men would think that that's too feminine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think even in America, when your hair is longer, I don't think people are getting it perm.
Yeah. And I think for Asian hair, it's more convenient to have slightly longer hair because Asian hair tends to be more thicker than Caucasian hair. And so you said it too, like you applied a little bit of gel.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Caucasian men don't really need to do that.
It's not gonna like poof out or stick straight up.
You know what's funny? The fact that you apply gel itself is very old school in
90s.
Korea.
Yeah.
Because no one puts gel in Korea anymore.
To be clear, I didn't do it, but when I would kind of dress up or try to look nice and presentable, that's when I would do it. I'm very, minimalistic. Like my number one request when I went to the barber in the US was, hey, I don't want to have to maintain it. Just do whatever that'll make it look okay without having to put gel or blow dry a certain way or whatever.
No, what I was trying to get at is that they don't use gel anymore.
No, I know. Yeah.
They use the hair wax.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So they still put some product in.
Yeah, but no one used gel. It's like so like 90s.
To be clear, I also had hair wax in the US. I just call it gel because that's what I refer to. Any product you put in your hair, it's just like gel to me.
I see.
Yeah. So don't put too much weight into that.
Okay.
But no, Jun, I never even blow dried. I never even blow dried my hair in the US, and I think I started doing it in Korea. I don't know why. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, but so also related to maybe hair length, I was talking with someone actually last night, and he's a Korean man, but he spent significant parts of his life in the US. He had his hair basically cut super short, like a crew cut, basically to the scalp, but not bicked, not like using a razor, right? So, and I was talking to him. It's like, hey, how come no one has your hairstyle, right? And he said he thought part of it was basically that's the haircut you need to do when you go to the army. And so he actually thinks there's some cutting your hair short like that either brings back memories of an unpleasant time, like in the army, or it makes you look like you're going to go to the army, which is not true when you're older. So I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but
I don't 100% resonate with that. Although I didn't go to the army, so I don't know if like people generally have that kind of trauma or PTSD to the extent that they won't even have that hair. But I just think that shorter hair is harder to wear fashionably.
I see.
And therefore I think Korean men tend to wear it longer. Also, I think there are trends in haircuts.
Of course. Yeah. But do you think the really short hairstyle was ever in trend?
Yeah, surprisingly, I think it was up until last year. for a couple of years. Like, I don't know where the name came from, but the so-called Ivy League cut was very in trend in Korea.
I'm gonna look it up.
Where it's like everyone was doing this Ivy League cut, where it's like more on the shorter side.
Okay.
And then like I think it's like where you sort of flatten your hair down everywhere, but then like just have like your four, what do you call the 앞머리? Bangs.
I think bangs is specific. Dude, we're so bad. I think bangs is specifically when your front hair goes down, like covering your forehead.
Whatever, like the front hair sticks up, kind of. It's kind of similar to what I'm doing right now, but it's not necessarily an Ivy League cut.
This is just like your classic, whatever, Tom Brady, Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds haircut look. And this is what I was saying. I think this is how most Asian American men wear their hair, especially in, let's say, a professional working setting. But yeah, you don't see this very much in Korea.
It was very. I saw everyone do it up until last year.
Okay,
but now they moved on to like this. Everyone's doing the same hair, right? Yeah. Especially the men. I think they have less of a like diversity.
They just follow the trend.
And it doesn't even change that often. I think, especially the men's hair world in Korea.
Yeah.
Now it's like all the like they call it the karma perm. Like when you have like the split hair
in the front.
Yeah, in the front, kind of. Yeah.
Okay. So that doesn't resonate with you though. That's the reason why they don't keep it short or cut it short. You just think that
it's less fashionable.
Korean people just think it looks less good.
Yeah.
Less fashionable, and so they don't do it.
Okay. Or it's hard to wear it fashionable, I think.
I buy that.
Yeah.
There's one more thing here, which is I mentioned it before, but it's very common and popular in Korea to get the hair transplant when you start to, let's say, have balding or receding hairline. And again, I'm open to doing this in the future. I decided not to do it when a couple of my friends did it recently. But there's this, I don't know, in the US, when you turn 40 or get into your 40s and maybe 50s, when you start to lose enough hair, you just go bald. You shave it, right? I can't ever imagine seeing someone that's not very, very old, let's say.
Yeah.
Or sorry, even very, very old people. They just, whatever hair they have, they keep it. Right? But the idea of, okay, when it's time to let your hair go, you just let it go and you go full bald.
Yeah.
That I don't think is a thing in Korea either. So I don't know if you want to talk about that or if there's perception of being bald.
Yeah, I think that's not necessarily a Korean thing. That's an Asian versus Caucasian thing. Because of like Asian heads look different from Caucasian heads. I think when Caucasian men just go bald, it still looks pretty good. Whereas like Korean men, if you like shave off your head, it doesn't. It looks very awkward. Like sometimes your the back side of your head is very flat. It just doesn't look good.
I see.
That's why.
Jun, I went full bald one time. I think I was in my early 20s. I don't know why. That theme has remained true to this day, right? Like I'm very open to experimenting with different hairstyles because I don't care that much. But I went full bald one time. Yeah.
Did you do it yourself?
I think my friend did it for me.
Interesting.
I remember talking with some guys and they were like, at some point in your life, you should just go full bald just to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And to your point, what is your head shape like? How good or bad does it look when you're full bald?
Yeah.
But I think it's also with the expectation from an American context in that eventually you're going to be full bald anyway.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to figure out what you look like. I think that's why I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Asian heads in general don't look good when they're bald.
That does not resonate with me. I think it looks similar to anyone else. Yeah.
And especially in a Korean cultural context, you look kind of like a monk.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to get to. What's the cultural perception when you see someone that's bald?
Yeah.
At any age category, right?
You look like a Buddhist monk.
I see.
Yeah.
There's definitely not that association in the US.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I think that's haircuts. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's move on. All right, Jun. Next thing I wanted to move on to was, I guess, just some general fashion cues, but something I think most people would resonate with coming from America. Specifically, I want to talk about the modesty norms for women.
Yeah.
And again, I think this is a very well established thing. So I feel okay mentioning it. as a man.
Yeah.
But I think in Korea, it's much more scandalous to wear anything like showing shoulders or revealing cleavage at all.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess pants or skirt length, there's no limit to what is acceptable. Like I've seen women wearing very, very short skirts or shorts or skirts or whatever in, I'd say, pretty professional settings. And in the US, it would be like, okay, that's kind of inappropriate.
Yeah.
But in Korea, it doesn't seem to be the case. But on the flip side, there's no cleavage being shown. Even shoulders seem to be like need to be covered almost. Like that seems to be more scandalous in Korea than, wearing short skirts. So I don't know if you agree with this or if I think it's well established, but I don't know if you have thoughts on this and why it might be the case.
I do recognize the difference.
Yeah. But
I don't have a clear explanation of why. Just as a Korean mind, it's very obvious, right?
Yeah.
This is my very almost mechanical understanding of this.
Okay.
Right? I think going up to your thighs all the way down to your ankle, it's just a gradient.
Okay.
It's just gradually going up with a thicker circumference, if you will.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
There's not like a drastically different look, right?
Yeah, sure.
Whereas like your chest area, like you have something there.
Yeah.
And like it's so very obvious.
Or also getting into another thing I was going to bring up in a second, right? The lack of, I guess, what is it, crew tops? Like when the belly button's showing, right? Bare midriff, if you will.
Crop tops?
Crop tops, right?
Yeah.
I think they're way more popular in America than Korea too. And I think maybe that furthers your point. Like the hips and the chest, that's where like there's curvature.
Yeah. And also I think Asian women tend to move I think the reason why crop tops aren't as popular is because their weight standards are different.
Yeah.
Like even a little bit of belly fat
in Korea,
they wouldn't wear a crop top.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's
it's just like with a Korean eye.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel I'm very surprised of like how, especially like American women wear their tops.
Yeah.
It feels very bold.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
I cannot not see that.
Yeah.
Right? But there's like it's there.
Yeah. And I think again, it's completely flipped for an American eye.
Yeah.
It's like the length of the shirts, shorts, whatever in Korea. It's like, oh wow, like they don't care. Well, to be clear, like Americans are similar in that way.
Yeah.
But it's much more scandalous in America to wear a very, very short skirt, whereas it seems perfectly acceptable in Korea.
But I want to hear your explanation as well. Like, why is it more acceptable to show cleavage in the States? Why is that a more okay thing?
I think American society overall is a bit more sexualized. Like, it's just not.
But then why is it scandalous to wear short skirts, though?
That's a good question. Yeah.
In that standard, it should be both okay.
And I do think both are okay. Maybe the length of the shorts and skirts in Korea stands out, especially in contrast to the lack of anything else, right? Whether it's showing your belly button or any cleavage at all. So, I don't know. It's no, that's not true. I do think skirt length is shorter in Korea. Man, I have no explanation for this. Well, I do have some, but it's a bit not PC.
Okay.
All right, I'll just go with it. Okay. I think in America, we were talking about the theory you put forth of curvature mattering.
Yeah.
I think plays a factor here too, in that, let's say in America, there's more curves in the like hips and butt area, right?
Yeah.
And so therefore, skirts can be more almost revealing or accentuate that. And if it's really, because let's say Korean women have less curves, short skirts don't, there's nothing as much to show or reveal, let's say. I don't know if that's even okay to say. But yeah, I'll go with that, Jun. I'm going to go with that.
But I want to counter that by saying American women or Caucasian or non-Asian women in general have more curvature on the chest side as well. And so why is that okay?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, Jun, we've talked about this before though. Athleisure, right? Wearing yoga pants or yoga tops or whatever. For men, things like basketball shorts and, running t-shirts or outdoors casually. We've talked about how this is huge in America, but really not common in Korea, although becoming more so, right? With Alo and some of these other brands I see. Yeah. But why do you think this is also playing a part in, let's say, impeding the adoption of athleisure in Korea? The sense that you can't be too revealing or form-fitting with your clothes. Yeah.
But I do see a trend in people tending to wear more tight athleisure wear.
Yeah. I've noticed it too.
Yeah.
I have my theory, but
it is kind of different than in the States, where this fashion trend I don't understand in the States, where they just full on wear what we call in Korea leggings.
Yeah.
And not wear anything else.
Yeah.
It's just like so especially in like the crotch area, like what's going on there, right?
Everything. Yeah.
When Korean women wear that, they at least like have something covering there, like wear like pants over it or something. Yeah. Something like that. I just like don't understand that fashion trend.
It's my explanation of it is, we don't necessarily care about modesty as much. And we just want to wear what's comfortable.
But especially when you said like showing the thigh area is so scandalous. Yeah. It's like revealing everything.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I mean, I have no explanation.
Yeah. Speaking of athleisure wear, I might have mentioned this in our previous fashion episode. Yeah. But like the way that older people wear like the Korean version of athleisure wear, where they wear the hiking fashion. 등산복 fashion.
Oh, yeah. Out and about.
Yeah. And everywhere, even if they never go on hiking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I always assumed they were coming back from a hike or going to a hike.
Not necessarily. I think 90% of the time it's just like their everyday wear.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know why it became a thing.
This is just mostly with the older generation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just took on with them. And I think it's because hiking wear in general has more give, right? It's more flexible.
Yeah.
So it definitely is more comfortable. And if they don't care about fashion that much, I think they would just naturally go with whatever is more comfortable.
Okay.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Especially for the older generation in Korea, it's because they had a hard time. They had a hard time just surviving.
Yeah.
So they have less taste for fashion, I think.
Yeah.
But I wish that they had a little bit more sense in fashion.
Wait, why, Jun?
It's just like so whatever, I think. Compared to when you go to Japan, I really appreciate older people dressing really nicely. Yeah.
I have the exact opposite conclusion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, more power to them. They finally either don't care about what they look like. They can just be free. I think it's wonderful.
But they were never not free though.
They were always free.
They always wore whatever.
Oh, I see.
It's not like a sense of liberation, I think. It's just that they have less understanding of fashion.
Yeah. Again, from my perspective, why should old people care about fashion?
Why not?
I mean, if they want to care, great. If they don't care, I don't care.
Don't you like it when old people dress really nicely?
Okay, perfect segue then, Jun.
Yeah.
Although I did want to close out one point. My theory is that athleisure and legging wear in Korea is on the rise because of specifically the brands like Alo. I don't know, Lululemon maybe never was huge here. It was a huge thing in the US that I think drove a lot of this athleisure wear out.
Yeah.
Because you can wear leggings, you can wear yoga clothes and still look presentable because everyone knows that clothes expensive. Right? And I think Alo, Viore, etc. They're driving this in Korea too. Because if you're wearing Alo, everyone knows, you're wearing Alo. Yeah. There's name brand athleisure now in Korea, and I think that's driving some of it.
I think Lululemon and all of those stuff are in trend in Korea, but they only wear it when they're working out.
Yeah, I agree with that. We've talked about this before. Okay, let's move on though. Generational things. So you seem to think that the older generation in Korea, 아줌마s, 아저씨s, etc., they don't care about what they wear, or they're just wearing this hiking fashion. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think these days older people have more taste in fashion than before. But like, if you see like the 70s and 80s people, they only wear the 등산복.
I was going to bring up something different though, which is sometimes I see older Korean men and women and they're dressed really nice and not just nice like suit, etc.
Yeah.
I think in America they do that too, but I see them dressed really fashionably.
Yeah.
Right? Like cool jeans, like cool t-shirts, like cool whatever.
Yeah.
And to me, it always stands out. Less and less as I've been here longer. But when I see an older Korean man or woman dressed what I would say really young and trendy, it really stands out.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever remember noticing or seeing that as much in America. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I have my thoughts, but wanted to hear what you...
Like I said before, I think the youth is very idolized and something that people admire in Korea much more than other societies, especially the US.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of like a general rule in fashion that looking younger is just better.
Is that true?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. That doesn't resonate with me.
But looking like you're in your 80s.
Yeah.
Is never a good thing, is it? Even when you're in your 80s.
See, I disagree. I think you should look your age. And I think a lot of Americans would say that's okay to look your age. Like you should look your age. And the contrast I would say is in America, if I see someone who's old trying to look young, it almost feels out of place. Like, why are you trying so hard?
Yeah.
Like, aren't you embarrassed to wear that out? Right? Whereas in Korea, it's the opposite, right? You want to be youthful. Hey, if you can pull that off, man, that's awesome, right? And
I think it's just different standards.
Yeah.
Because in Korea, even if, let's say, if you're in your 40s and you look like you're in your 20s, I don't think that's a good thing.
Oh.
But it's like the standards that people, like you wearing age appropriately is younger viewed by an American perspective, I think.
Say that again? Yeah.
Like, for instance, me wearing this kind of clothes might look like I'm trying to look too young in the States, but it's just age appropriate in Korea, I think. Even in Korea, what I'm trying to say is that if you're in your 40s and 50s and you dress like you're in your 20s, it's not a good thing.
Okay, so then are you saying though every age wants to look like they're in their young 30s?
No, it's just a different standard. Looking like your young 30s is already coming from an American perspective. It's just a different standard. Like you thinking you have a perception of what a 40-year-old should look like.
Yeah.
That's already an American standard, isn't it?
So what does your typical, let's say, 40-year-old in Korea, how do they think then about fashion and what they want to look like? Because if they don't want to look like they're in their 40s, then they have something that they want to look trendy and cool. What does that mean?
There's just like a specific look. Of course, they want to look young, but they don't want to look like they tried too hard to look like they're in their 20s.
Got it.
There's a age-appropriate look definitely in Korea.
Yeah.
But I think the standards are just different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you say, of course, I brought this up before, right? I don't know why I always say that. I feel like I don't want to repeat content.
Yeah.
That's why I always say it. But anyway, in Korea, it's almost always a good thing, though, to look younger, right?
Yeah.
And again, at least for men, let's say, I don't think that's true. I think it's okay to look your age, and it's almost better to look your age than it is to always look younger. Yeah.
Again, I think it comes from the almost like frantic obsession to be macho in the States.
To be macho.
Like trying to like take care of your looks. I think in America, they think it's a feminine thing. So it's like, oh, whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah. I know that there are men who like groom, right?
Yeah.
But I think American men especially, they try to be very careful with that. So that they don't look that they care too much about fashion.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's seen as more, effeminate to care about how you look, etc. But I was going to counter with, I think growing up, I don't know, George Clooney, he was always voted People Magazine's, whatever, sexiest man alive. And, he has graying hair, he has stubble, right? That's like his look and aesthetic. And, if he had, I don't know, no wrinkles, perfect flawless skin, right? It's just not seen as the beauty standard in America. But I think it would also have been like, why are you trying to be young? Like, look your age, I think is my reaction when I think about Korea's obsession with looking younger. So,
but isn't it because George Clooney's thing was that, like, even when he was young, he was never like
But yes and no. But what I'm saying is when he's voted whatever sexiest man alive, that's what the aesthetic is for men in America, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily just to look younger or to look cooler, right? If George Clooney were wearing what, your typical trendy 20-year-old person was wearing, it would look out of place is my point. But in Korea, I don't think that's true.
But I think that's aligned with my point because the overall culture in general thinks that men should be more macho, right? I mean, I think looking younger is the opposite of masculine.
Oh, that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's something there. I'd agree a bit, but I don't know. My reference is always sports and basketball. And, statistically, NBA players peak at 27.
Yeah.
They're still in their athletic prime. And they're now a little bit more mature and wise, so they know the rest of the parts of basketball. So that's when statistically they always kind of peak at 27.
Yeah.
So in my mind, your peak male, athletic peak, physical peak, whatever. That's what I think of 27. And so.
But that's your physical performance, though. It's slightly different from how you look.
Yeah, I think at least for me, it's aligned. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. So do you think men in their 27 are in their prime time?
I think so. Yeah, I'd say that's
but like, for instance, I think George Clooney looked better in his like 50s compared to when he was 27.
My wife says stuff like this and she complains all the time. It's like, oh, as men get older, they only like look better and better in a sense, right?
Oh,
But at least that's, I think, how a lot of people might feel, especially in contrast to women, right? But Jun, do you think that okay, let me ask this then. How would you say the beauty standards for men and women differ then in Korea? Because one of my conclusions is that they're more similar than they are different in Korea, right? Korean men and women both, I would say.
It is because culture, like Korean society in general, in the gradient is more feminine than the States.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then how would you contrast the gender, like, norms when it comes to that? Because what I was going to say is both Korean men and women, they both want to look younger. They want clear, pale skin, right? They want to look clean cut and, anyway.
But it's more the women, though, still.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then how would you contrast men's beauty standards?
Men's beauty standards?
Yeah, compared to women.
Definitely less caring.
Okay.
I mean, more caring than American men, but still less caring than women. Yeah.
So you'd say the contrast, the disparity between the two genders in Korea might be the same with respect to how much they care about fashion.
Yeah.
But on the overall spectrum, Korea has shifted more towards caring. Yeah, I see.
And also, I know for married men, it's because their wife tells them to wear and have certain fashion.
That is true.
If they're not married, they wouldn't care at all. Almost.
That is true in America too. Yeah. Basically, it's like wives trust their husbands and give them feedback. And okay, that's a line. Okay, as part of this generational thing, we didn't get too deep into it, but I wanted to bring up one, let's say, fashion controversy that was at least very popular in the U.S. Recently, which is specifically ankle socks. So as a millennial, as an older millennial, I grew up thinking, okay, if you show your ankle, no show socks, whatever, they're cool, they're all the rage, right? But I was surprised again when Gen Z and Gen A, they're like, that's when they see ankle socks, that's a sign of you being old. I don't know if this is true in Korea too, or if there's a similar thing where it's like, you're a millennial if you wear no-show socks. And you're Gen Z if you wear, crew socks or whatever they're called. So
I have a very clear explanation to this.
Okay.
It's just what is in trend. And I view it in a lens of retro or like the cyclical manner of fashion, right? It's the first time, it's very surreal to me because whenever like I was growing up hearing like retro fashion, I never lived that time when it was actually in trend. Now is the first time when I see a fashion trend coming back. Something that I already experienced before, because 90s is the theme of the fashion trend right now. And so whatever is like what's trending in the 90s is like reinterpreted in like a modern lens. So I think you're like wearing your socks up and like you know, like the baggy pants and whatever.
Yeah,
That's all like the 90s vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That resonates.
Yeah.
By the way, baggy, we're not talking about trends this episode per se, but baggy in Korea, like very baggy, is super in.
Yeah.
They're called like balloon pants or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're very baggy for men and women. Yeah.
I think that's, again, the 90s influence.
I just think it looks goofy. But again, I'm not fashion forward.
Yeah.
In the US, you'd call them like, they're like MC Hammer pants. They're just like super baggy.
I think New Jeans had something to do with it. Although I think the global trend right now is the 90s retro. They call it the neutral.
Neutral?
Yeah.
New retro?
Yeah. But anyways, I think New Jeans, the K-pop girl band, their fashion theme was like retro 90s kind of. So
not just their fashion. Was it just their fashion or their whole theme?
Their whole brand is like
90s retro.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, two more things I wanted to bring up. One, I have to bring this up, but I think I have a reinterpretation of it now. In one of our earliest episodes of Daily Life, I think I brought this up, but I feel like with young women, let's say, there's this trend where like, or look, let's say, where you just wear your hat really low, like covering your entire face so you can't see their face or eyes.
Really?
I love it. To me, it's just like, I'm no one. I want to be anonymous. Don't look at me. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to have to care what I look like.
Yeah.
And that's my interpretation of it now. Just like, maybe I don't wear makeup, whatever, but I just don't want you to know who I am, see me. So it's combining this, like, let's say it's a pushback against the crazy high beauty standards in Korea, combined with this deep desire for privacy and anonymity in a way that is still kind of fashionable. Like, I think they look cool with that look.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it because it's just like, it perfectly embodies what my understanding of what it's like to be a young woman in Korea in their 20s.
They do it when they wear like the athleisure wear,
yes,
right?
Yeah, part of that too.
Yeah. My explanation to that, it's funny that I'm doing the explanation when I think that's usually a women's thing, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's because when they're working out, they don't have their makeup on. So they're not like dressed in their perfect manner, I guess. So it's like they tend to wear their hats down. Yeah. And it is fashionable kind of. So I think overall it kind of makes sense.
Oh, and it blocks your face from sunlight too. So like it protects your face.
Perfect.
So your sense is that, I guess what I was saying is when you wear your hat like that, to me, it's very intentional.
Yeah.
And it's completely a look or aesthetic, right? But you don't interpret it at all like the anonymity part or like, I'm just done with life.
I don't necessarily think so. They're following a very careful fashion formula.
Oh, so you think it's more fashion than just like what I was interpreting it as?
I think this is the difference in Korea.
Yeah.
Whatever they do, it's very intentional. Yeah. They're following a certain rule.
That I agree with.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Even in like their most casual manner, there is like a rule to it.
I just love the look because, for me, it's more of a, no one recognized me. I don't want to be seen. Just like, I'm going to go around about my daily life. Just completely invisible. Which I can kind of empathize. I maybe that's why I love it, because I've mentioned this many times on the pod. One of my favorite things about being in Korea is kind of feeling invisible, right? Like no one's going to recognize me. I look like everyone else and I can just blend in. So yeah, part of me also wants to do the whole, like, I don't ever see guys doing it, but I want to just cover my face with my hat and go about my day. Jun, one more thing related to things that just really stand out to me. In Korea, I might have mentioned this before, but wearing socks with your slippers feels like it's a norm. Yeah. And you don't look twice. But at least in America, that is seen as very nerdy or odd. But I see people wearing socks and slippers all the time in Korea. And now I'm desensitized to it. But at first I was like, oh, you can't help but notice they're wearing socks with slippers. It's not, in the US, you always go barefoot when you wear flip-flops or slippers. So wearing sandals with your bare foot, wearing your shoes feels less comfortable for Koreans than how a Western person would feel, because they always have their shoes on. But I'll admit, it is it is more comfortable switching your shoes into slippers or office slippers or whatever it might be. So,
anyways, it's the same thing as like wearing your socks down. Sorry, I'm just going back to your socks with sandals thing.
So you're saying this is actually a very intentional, fashion forward look.
Yes.
I just see like
it's the current
so
fashion.
Nerdy.
Oh, speaking of, you know how I talked about Gorpcore in our very early fashion episodes?
Yeah.
What's in trend right now is geek chic. So it's like sort of like wearing things in a dorky way, but in a fashionable manner.
Oh, I see.
Like women wearing like glasses and like in a very fashionable way.
Looking nerdy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll respond with the same thing I said before, which is that was all the rage in the NBA like 5 years ago. Bow ties, glasses without the lenses, like looking kind of very kind of nerdy in a way, but in a fashionable way.
Yes.
Okay, then let's move on to, I would say, I want to talk about if there's any regional stereotypes or preferences when it comes to fashion. You had brought up at the beginning of the episode kind of the California casual look, cargo pants, flip-flops, right? Which I agree is a thing. But yeah, is there anything in Korea where you would say, okay, that is like a Busan thing, or that is like an East Coast vibe, or that's like a Seoul look, of course.
Yeah. I definitely sensed that, at least up until the mid 2000s. But I think with like the trend in social media and the internet and everything, now I think there's less of a difference regionally. Yeah. It's pretty much the same, I think.
Okay.
But I think still Seoul is a little bit more fashion forward.
Yeah.
But I guess the discrepancy is less than before.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, in the US, let's see. You know, every city or whatever is known for a certain thing.
Really?
I don't know. Like,
I would love to know the regional fashion differences.
Okay, again, I'm the last person who should be talking about this, but let me take my best shot.
But I think it's more climate related than just like taste related.
I would say it's climate and, I don't know, professions in a sense. Yeah, right? Like, again, New York is business casual suits. You're dressed very nice and proper.
But like the finance men, I know that they have their Patagonia vests.
Oh, that's more like I would say Patagonia was a very West Coast VC type thing. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit outdoorsy, right? Which, you know, the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast, I think, and, you know, some cities like Colorado, Portland, etc., are known to be outdoorsy cities. And that Patagonia sweater with the all-bird shoe, right? Like that's kind of the West Coast VC vibe.
Yeah.
But I think New York is still very proper suit, you know, black tie, very, very proper and clean. And then, you know, you have like the South. It's just like, oh God, I don't want to offend the entire country. But I was going to say things like, of course, Texas, you have your cowboy boots and your cowboy hat, right?
Isn't that too like stereotypical?
But I promise you see a lot more of them than you do.
Interesting.
Of course, you know, all the fashion merges and blends a bit, but it stands out more when you're in the South. People are dressed more like that. Minnesota, right? Like you have you're wearing your flannel shirts, right? Things like that. So,
can I talk about something completely different?
Is it related to fashion?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I have a gripe with this. Is sort of like in the theme of how I don't like that the US is using the imperial unit system.
Okay.
Like their size system is so confusing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially for shoes. I think it's very logical in Korea where it's the millimeter of your foot length.
Yeah.
Like when I say I wear a 270, meaning that my toe to ankle length is 270 millimeters.
Yes.
Whereas in the US,
or
it's like
27 centimeters, right?
Yeah. Or in the US, it's like size 10, size 11. I know that it's based on the length in inches.
Yeah.
But then they have like a different women's size, which is very confusing because like a women's 10 and a men's 10 is different, right?
I'd say the sizing across Europe, Asia, and America, it's all different.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's very confusing. So when I was in Musinsa, I had to ask the lady, hey, what's this sizing in?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, it's in inches. And I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Because when I was like putting it over or whatever, like it didn't feel like it was inches. But when I realized it was so funny, right? Because when I realized it was in inches, it all of a sudden made sense. I was like, oh yeah, of course it's in inches.
Yeah.
But that was the last thing I assumed it would be in. And so even to the point of like, I was putting, I wear like a 32 waist. I was trying to like put them over my legs to see if it was right.
Yeah.
Like, this can't be right. It can't be inches.
Yeah.
But then when she told me it was inches, my mind switched. And I was like, oh yeah, inches. This is right.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
Oddly, there are like certain things in Korea that they still measure in inches.
Yeah.
I think famously the pants.
Yeah.
And then your TV size.
Oh, in Korea, you're saying?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They count it in inches. But for your top,
yeah,
it's your circumference of your chest in centimeters.
In centimeters.
Like 195, 105.
Yeah,
those
you
are
know
all
your
centimeters.
measurements, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I know mine in inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
in America, they don't even do that in inches, though. They have your like small, medium, largest.
Oh, they have that too. But no, I'd say for dress shirts and things like that, that maybe need to be more tailored. You have your neck size, and then I think it's sleeve length is what they measure. It might be chest size. I'm not sure. Yeah.
They measure it that way, but you don't understand it that way, though.
No, at least for dress shirts, you buy them that way. Yeah. But now I want to say your collars and anyway, I think it's all in inches.
But isn't that when you try to make it tailor made?
Dress shirts are always sold that way.
But what if you want to buy it in the store? What would the size be?
So dress shirts, what I'm saying is dress shirts at least, they're sized that way. Yeah, so that you have like your collar size and I think it's sleeve length, but it might be chest, yeah.
Wait, but if you go to like a department store?
Yeah, if you're just wearing like a t-shirt or sweater, it's small, medium, large, yeah.
But even you can buy a dress shirt in a store too, right? Of course you can.
I'm telling you, dress shirts are always sized that way. Like they have two dimensions. One I think is your neck, and one is something with your sleeve.
Interesting. Even when you go to like
dress shirts are always sold this way.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever bought a dress shirt.
In America?
Yeah, in America.
I think I know what you're saying. Like a collared shirt, not necessarily a dress shirt from Brooks Brothers or whatever, just a regular collared shirt, let's say from Gap or whatever. They are sized like you're saying, just small, medium, large, etc. But specifically dress shirts are always sized this way. Yeah. Which brings me to another difference. In America, pants are always, I guess, waist and then length. So, for example, I'm like a 32 by 30. That's what I try to buy. In Korea, they didn't have the second dimension. They just have...
Oh, that's true.
They just have waist. There's almost this assumption.
I think some brands have that.
At least at Musinsa, they just had the waist.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm thinking like, what if you're, tall and skinny, short and fat? Like you are going to struggle to find sizing in Korea, which I think is true. I think this is a common gripe of foreigners. Hey, if I'm really tall or if I'm short or fat, chubby, whatever, if I'm not your average proportion, let's say, it's really hard to buy clothes in Korea. Yeah.
I think your body form in general, the variety of it,
it's
is less different. Yeah. But the weird thing is that, but they have it in Japan, I think.
What, the waist and length?
Waist and length. And that's why I think, if I'm not mistaken, Uniqlo has that.
Oh, I don't know.
Waist and length.
Yeah.
But you know what bothers me in Uniqlo?
What?
It's so funny that I think it's bothering. They measure their pants size in centimeters.
Oh, so they're doing what should be native to you, but foreign because Korea still measures pants waist and TV screen sizes in inches.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I will just say though, shopping in Korea for me, it's quite pleasant. Yeah, much more than shopping for clothes in America. Yeah, I think I am, maybe on the slightly larger side for Korea, but overall, I definitely fit the body shape and size and proportions more in Korea than in America. So,
how often do you shop as an average American per year for clothes?
I'm very not fashion forward.
Yeah. But I think that's your average American though, right?
I think I would say maybe I'm below average. I don't know. I typically will shop once, maybe twice a year. Yeah. Interesting. There's some years I went.
I think it's because you used to live in the West Coast though. Is it not?
Are you saying East Coast shops more or less?
Because if you shop once a year in Korea, it doesn't make sense. Because like, let's say if you shop in winter, you can only buy winter clothes.
June, I think some years I didn't even need to shop because I have clothes. I don't care about trends or fashion sense. If I have clothes that fit and keep me warm or weather appropriate clothes, I don't need to buy new clothes. So that's what I would say is Americans shop when they need something.
Yeah.
I think Koreans probably shop at least twice a year in anticipation of, okay, it's winter, it's fall, winter. What are the trends and let me update my wardrobe?
Kind of, yeah.
It's spring, summer. Let me, follow the trends and update my wardrobe.
Yeah.
And so America's much more on a need basis. And maybe Korea's on a need basis too, but the need to be more fashionable and trendy.
Yeah.
Versus America, it's the need to be comfortable and, have clothes that are not tattered and fit you.
Yeah.
I see.
Do you have a go-to store?
My favorite store, I discovered this very late in life. I think there's an outlet mall I'm still Asian, June. I love outlet shopping.
Yeah.
There was an outlet mall in Northern California. They had a Ted Baker outlet. And I think I was following my wife in there because they have women's clothes too. But I was like, oh, wow, I really like this clothes. And to me, I guess I tried on their pants one time. That first time, and I was like, oh my God, these are the most comfortable pants I've ever worn.
Yeah.
And it's slightly pricier than what I usually would buy. But I was like, doing exercises and lunges in these pants. I was like, these pants look good, fit great, and they're so freaking comfortable.
Cool.
And so I just, honestly, from that point on, all I bought was Ted Baker for like 5 years. But June, Ted Baker is now, I think they're going bankrupt.
Are they an American brand?
They're a London brand.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, my life. Like, I finally found like kind of a semi-fashionable, they're fashionable, like a fashionable clothing brand that I really like. Price point is okay, right? They're going bankrupt. Yeah. But what I like about them, let me just say, in general, very simple, clean cut, etc. But I think all their clothings have like one thing that like pops or it's like a little bit weird. It might be like the inside sleeve lining.
Oh, I see.
So it's all super, very kind of almost boring, traditional, clean. But with like one thing that's unique.
Oh, that's cool. I like it when
that really fits my, I think, mojo in general.
Yeah. You remember that we went to an outlet together in the States? And then I
we went to that outlet.
Specifically remember you wanting to go to Ted
Baker. Yeah. And then it was closed, I believe. Or we got there too late.
Something like that.
Yeah. We went to that outlet when we visited for work.
Interesting.
June, do you have like a go-to fashion?
I don't have like a lifelong go-to brand. I had like phases, I think. When I was in the States, I like to go to J. Crew.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of preppy, but it's not too boring. Yeah. Kind of like modern preppy.
J. Crew is very popular.
Is it still?
In the US? No, I don't know anymore. I'm thinking 90s, 2000s. Yeah, J. Crew is very popular.
And then I went through a Uniqlo phase where like all my clothes were just Uniqlo.
Yeah.
But then now I'm realizing that it doesn't last long.
Oh.
Yeah.
Countering your earlier point. Right? Because you said Uniqlo was very high quality for the price, which I agree with, but...
It is better, but still, I don't think you can wear it for 2 seasons. Not because of the fashion trend per se, but it's because like your what do you call it? The neckline area becomes like too wrinkly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
June, I just made a huge leap.
What is it?
I think fast fashion, to be clear, it's huge in America.
Yeah.
But I think it's more popular in countries that care more about fashion.
Yeah.
Namely Europe and Asia. Maybe this is obvious to you.
Yeah.
But because things, trends change so quickly, you'd rather buy something, just wear it for 1 or 2 years, and then buy something new, throw it out, buy something new, right?
Yeah.
At least for me and my mentality, it's like I still have clothes, and I don't know if this is an American thing or if it's an Asian American immigrant thing. But I still, in my closet at home, have a lot of clothes I've had for 10, 15 years. It's just like, I like the fact that it's made to last. You can wear it forever. And I'd agree from a Korean lens, it probably looks a little bit worn and tattered. But for me, it's comfortable. Anyway, like my mindset is why buy new clothes if your clothes you have are perfectly fine. Yeah.
But you know what's crazy about Korea? Even like the luxury brands have trends and it doesn't last for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Because I know that I want to say it's a French brand called Montclair.
Oh, Montclair, yeah.
It was very in trend in Korea.
It was.
And those jackets cost like $2,000, $3,000.
Yeah, they're so expensive.
And now I think it's like out of trend all of a sudden. So I'm wondering, what are those people doing with their $3,000 jackets just in their wardrobe and can't wear it?
Wait, but Jun, I'm looking up now, like, because, you know, what we just talked about, are there any American-founded fast fashion brands? Because you were saying H&M. I thought H&M was American, but let me look it up. But Zara clearly, right, is very famous.
Gap isn't?
Is Gap considered fast fashion? I think Gap was a little bit higher.
And Hollister?
For me, Gap and Hollister are like
I know.
a little bit more expensive.
I know what? The Old Navy.
Old Navy, American Eagle.
Yeah.
Those types are cheaper.
Mm-hmm. They're so shaggy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. H&M is Swedish.
I think Zara is Spanish, as far as I know.
Zara? I did not even know what it was until I never had even heard of it until I was older. I don't know. I'm going to say late 20s, early 30s. But the only reason I was aware of them is because I think I was Googling or looking up like richest people in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the Zara founders, one of the richest people in the world.
Yeah.
This is weird, right? I don't know if it's because America didn't have many global fashion icons. Wait, maybe Ralph Lauren, that's an American brand, right?
Yeah.
Polo. For me, I was surprised that one of the richest people in the world was the founder of a fast fashion brand company, right? And I think also similarly, I felt the same way when I found out who's the LVMH guy, like the French.
Yeah.
He at one point was the richest man in the world recently, right? And it just, for me, it was a wake-up call, which is like, oh, Americans generally really don't care about fashion compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Compared to how influential America is in general, globally.
That's zero impact fashion-wise, right?
Yeah, like I think only Ralph Lauren comes to mind. Yeah. And what are other, like maybe Gap?
But would you say
maybe Nike?
Oh, yeah. It's true. Athletics and then athleisure, right?
Speaking of which, I think something interesting that's happening right now is local Korean brands are sort of in trend globally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what?
I think most famously Gentle Monster.
Oh, yeah.
The glasses brand.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have not heard of the other brands, but I've seen like foreigners come to Korea and shop in this brand a lot. This Is Never That.
Oh, yeah.
Like very famous Korean street brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that tagline is like just cool enough.
Yeah.
Not, we often make fun of Koreans and how they use English in cheesy ways. But This Is Never That is like right on the border. Like I would have said, that's a Korean brand just from the name.
Yeah.
But it's not so,
too Korean,
cringy that it's like, oh, it kind of works. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Hip hop is an American thing, right?
Yes.
I think it's an American culture.
Yeah.
And obviously hip hop is maybe the one exception to this where, I mean, globally hip hop culture and clothing and fashion is huge, right? That must have started from America.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the one exception I could come up with. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think one fashion brand that is super, super popular in Korea right now, I think it might be an American brand, which is Stussy. Or I don't know how to. Yeah, I see it everywhere. Everyone wearing Stussy hoodies and sweatshirts and whatever.
That is, I don't know if Stussy's rising or trending more in America too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see it so much in Korea.
It's almost comical, I think.
Yeah, I bucketed that with like, we talked about before why Tommy Hilfiger was super popular in Korea, but it was dying a bit in America, but still like all the Korean tourists and people visiting America would want to go to the Tommy Hilfiger stores. So for me, Stussy was just like in that bucket.
Yeah.
You're right. It's almost comical how common it is in Korea. Yeah.
And I don't even know if they have a store in Korea. Maybe they do.
Oh, maybe that's why they're popular.
Maybe.
It's exclusive.
Yeah, it's like the Trader Joe's bag.
Jun, do you know the Damn Daniel meme?
What?
You don't know that meme?
Damn Daniel?
There was this thing when I was working, it was like mid 2010s. I think it went viral on TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just bring it up because the whole meme is like, I don't know, this high school white kid. He's like, it's awkward to say because I can't do it right. But basically lines are like, damn, Daniel, back at it again with the white Vans. And then it goes, Stussy, man, damn. And he brings up Stussy, right? Or Stussy or whatever. So that's why it came to mind. But again, like white Vans, Stussy, like that I think was a thing or is a thing in America too. But
I think that look is in trend right now in Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the retro look.
Okay.
What else is there?
There was one thing related to what you were saying around Gentle Monster. Yeah, the first time I was aware of this, I think they're super popular or prominently featured in a lot of K-dramas and K-media.
Yeah.
And so when you see these, K-drama stars wearing these very, I guess, like obvious glasses, I think that's how a lot of, let's say, Westerners or Americans are introduced to K-fashion and things like that, or trends in Korea.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just bring up like who is influencing fashion trends the most. And I think one conclusion I had was it's actually pretty similar across the two countries. And it's really mostly, I'd say, driven by like performing artists. So K-pop stars, or in America, let's say it's like the grunge bands of the 90s.
Yeah.
Or the rock bands or the hip hop artists. It's the musical performers, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that's true in Korea too?
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting, right? That's common across the two cultures.
I think music has to be more in tune with the trend than acting. Like there's no trend in acting, I think. So that's why I think musical performance are more...
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. More sensitive to what is trending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was going to say though is like, in my naive mind, I'd expect maybe models or actors to be even more influential.
Yeah.
But K-dramas, I'm going to say K-dramas are almost like the performing artists of actors, right? Because they come out, new K-dramas are always coming out. They always have a new fresh cast.
Yeah.
It's almost like a K-drama release is like an album release for an artist, right? And I think that makes sense why in Korea maybe the dramas are more influential as far as fashion and things go than I would say like American dramas, which tend to be recurring, go on and on and on. Anyway, and just like product placement, I think is less prominently featured in American dramas more than Korean. So I think that's a pretty interesting conclusion.
I think one of the most famous and influential fashion trendsetters in Korea, at least for the men, is this K-pop idol called G-Dragon.
Yeah.
He most recently made like a comeback in like 8 years of not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was very influential. Whatever he wears became a trend.
Out. Yeah. Interesting.
Now maybe for the women it's Jennie.
Oh, Blackpink.
Yeah.
That resonates. Do we want to stir the controversy?
Yeah.
Because you were saying. We didn't talk about APT, right? But I always thought Jennie and then Lisa were like tied for center, like being the main.
Koreans wouldn't think twice about Jennie being the center.
Oh, so she is the center.
I think so. But I think Lisa has more popularity because of all the Southeast Asian population.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're rooting for her a lot.
See, from my, again, I guess more American or Korean American perspective, I almost see Lisa as more popular globally.
Globally, yes.
Yeah, so it's
but
interesting.
It's very skewed towards the Southeast Asian.
But I'm saying even as an American or just a general foreigner, my perception is Lisa might be the most popular member of the group.
Really?
But I do think Jennie's formally the leader, right? She's the oldest too.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, she's not.
I'm not sure.
Dude, but I don't. Neither of us.
But
know.
I think age doesn't have a correlation with whether you become a leader or not.
Oh, really?
No.
I thought you would always pick the oldest person to be the leader.
No.
There's nothing there. Okay. But yeah, I think because of the APT success, right, is like, was it Rose or Rose? Is it Rose?
Yeah.
Isn't she... Do you think there's going to be like infighting?
Oh, interesting. I don't know.
Because what if she becomes like the it girl now of the group?
From what I see,
yeah,
they look like they get along with each other pretty well.
We never know.
We never know. Yeah. But she has gained a lot of popularity
because of that.
Yeah.
But you would say Jennie in Korea at least is the maybe the number one female fashion trend influencer?
Yeah, I've never heard like Rose becoming like, oh, this is what Rose wore or whatever. Lisa. But it's always like Jenny. Like Jenny wore this, Jenny wore this. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't even start to tell you who is the number one fashion trend influencer in America.
I think there are.
Probably the pop artists, right?
Yeah.
Like Dua Lipa, maybe.
Kanye West. He's like the fashion
historically,
icon.
Yeah. This is just exposing how little I know about modern American pop culture and fashion in general.
I'm not sure if he's like a fashion icon too, but I'm probably butchering his name, but Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, Chalamet.
Chalamet.
He's a French guy, yeah.
No, he's American.
No,
he's American.
Oh, French born, ethnic French, American born?
I think so.
Oh, okay. His name is so French. How can he be American?
Wait, your last name is Kim and you're American.
I know I'm being... Okay, but my first name is not Sungwon, all right? Like, I don't go by... His Timothée Chalamet, yeah. But you're right, he's an American and French actor.
I think he's somewhat influential in the fashion
I believe you.
world.
Yeah.
But he's not a performing artist.
I think it's because he has a European appeal and aesthetic. Like I bet most Americans would assume he's French born. Not only because of his name, but how he looks and dresses. He actually really cares about fashion. So yeah. Okie dokie.
Oh, I know Pharrell. He's a fashion icon.
Yeah, Pharrell. You're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
He's like the creative director of Louis Vuitton or something.
You know so much more than me, Jun. As is always the case about anything cultured. Anything else you wanted to cover, Jun?
I think the cultural difference. I don't know if this is the case in the US, but in Korea, people tend to shop clothes a lot online these days.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case in the US. Like they're very famous, like along with Musinsa, they're very famous like fashion e-commerce apps.
Yeah.
Like, so Musinsa is a big one. Have you heard of 29cm, 29 centimeters?
No.
That's also a very famous fashion and lifestyle in general e-commerce app.
Okay.
I know that women tend to shop a lot in this app called Zigzag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you know this? Did you do research?
Zigzag?
It's just that famous?
It's just that famous. And also, it was just famously known to be, because I work in tech, acquired by Kakao.
Nice.
That's how
So they were like a successful tech exit.
Yeah.
Jun, I've never shopped for clothes online.
Oh, you've never?
Per se. I think I've bought stuff online after maybe seeing it in the store. Again, I'm not the right person to ask, but I would very confidently say e-commerce and clothing shopping in general in Korea is way, way ahead of America. Yeah. I do suspect a lot of people still buy their clothes online, but I suspect still in America, a lot of people go into the store to browse, try things on, to look before buying.
Is there a trend in the US that of shopping in Temu for clothes?
Dude, Temu was not a thing before when I left America 3 years ago. So, but I don't think so. No, yeah, I doubt it.
I think Korean people, like especially the younger generation, they have like a thing to shop in Temu.
I do know one of the most common browsing behaviors, let's say in Korea on Instagram, is they're just looking at the explore page. And they're just looking through fashion accounts and trying to see fashion styles and what's trending. And that's where I think they get a lot of their inspiration from.
Interesting.
Again, I suspect that's true in America too, but to just a lesser extent. Yeah, Korea is very, again, all in on that stuff. So.
Okay.
All right. I think that's it. I mean, I'm happy with some of the... I think we got to a couple interesting conclusions, despite, not knowing what we're going to go into from the start.
Another completely random side note.
Please, yeah.
I've heard that the luxury market is sort of declining in Korea. And therefore, all of their stocks are plunging like crazy.
Yeah, because Korea was such a huge market.
Korea, China, like the East Asian countries in general. Because of the economic state
economy,
where we're... we're at right now, I heard that like Burberry, they plunged down like 70%.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Gucci, I just researched this.
Good.
Gucci plunged like 50%.
I'm here for this trend. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hope Korea can move away from this luxury brand obsession. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So Koreans like to shop a lot, I think.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, I think they definitely would shop more frequently than your average American. And they tend to buy a lot of more expensive stuff.
Yeah.
So which naturally leads to the revenue of certain department stores. And I think this is a fact.
Yeah.
Like certain department stores are ranked up very high in the global revenue of department stores. And I think number one is in Korea, which is the Gangnam Shinsegae.
Oh, Shinsegae.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before. I think also one of the top 5 grossing Costco's in the world is the original Yangjae Costco in Korea. My main thing here is I think, again, Seoul is one of the densest cities in the whole world.
Yeah.
So that has to go, hand in hand is probably the top factor. Combined with just compared to some of the other dense cities in the world, Seoul is very high as far as economic, whatever. So I'd say it's one of the richest, densest cities in the world. Therefore, it doesn't surprise me that the top Costco's and one of the top department stores in the world is here. But you're right. I think Korea does have a very consumerist mentality too. Yeah. But Jun, that counters a little bit about, you were saying earlier, so many people in Korea shop, e-commerce shopping is higher than ever, even for fashion. How do you reconcile those two, where the in-person department store sales are super high, but also the online e-commerce sales are equally high?
I think this is the sheer volume of shopping is very high.
Yeah. There's more than enough to go around between in-person and e-commerce. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think just everything, commerce in general, is very digitalized in Korea.
Yeah,
like even for grocery shopping.
Yeah.
I rarely go grocery shopping offline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the fastest growing e-commerce platforms in China, at least, was just a live shopping thing. So like that home shopping network, but turned into an app for the digital modern age, right? So yeah, I think it does show that the shopping and e-commerce trends in East Asia, I think, are a little bit further along, let's say, or at least different and more digital than in the US. So
excluding Japan, though, it's just I think Korea and China.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, yeah. Japan is for some reason very outdated in their like digital transformation.
It's I would think from an American context, because America is so large and vast, everything's spread out. E-commerce should be more popular, right?
Yeah.
You have to drive 30 minutes to get to the store to shop. I just don't know why that is. Yeah. It's interesting. I would expect it to be different in America. Yeah.
Isn't like Instacart a thing in the US though?
For sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess just more for like clothes and stuff. I don't know. Maybe it is and I'm just off here. But I would just, it is so much more inconvenient. I'll take that back. I was gonna say it's more inconvenient in America to get somewhere. You have to get in your car, you have to drive, etc. But actually, like, then you can drive your stuff back. You don't have to carry it with you.
Yeah.
There are like actually big advantages in America, even though it is more spread out, even though you do have to drive everywhere and it might take longer. Yeah, it's kind of nice to go out and get somewhere. Whereas in Korea, everything's so dense and like you're, what's the right word? 복잡해. Like even if it's accessible and easy in a sense, it's almost more annoying in person in Korea because there's so many people.
Yeah.
Everything's so crowded. It's so cramped. Yeah.
And everything's sold out.
Is that true?
Yeah. Whatever is in trend,
gets sold out.
Yeah.
I think the idea for me of something that's popular selling out in America, it's just a bit more foreign. It has to be those once in a few years, just like viral things, right? Whether it's Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
Or the Nintendo Wii. These are the things that come to mind that it sells out. For something fashion related to sell out, it doesn't register to me. Yeah.
I think it's just it's a natural behavior of a smaller market.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't supply that much for a smaller market. So I think the supply is small to begin with.
Yeah.
And therefore it sells out really quickly. multiplied by the fact that everyone wants the same thing.
Yeah. But my American mindset is like, well, wouldn't whoever's producing that just go into overdrive and produce it en masse to meet that demand? But what I think in Korea, it's like by the time that happens, the trend's already gone.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they know the formula of how Korean market works. They just rather have it sell out than have a lot of
excess supply. Yeah, which will never get sold. That makes sense. All right, Jun. That's it for our fashion episode today. As always, if you thought this episode was worth 25 cents, consider supporting us for our minimum tier of $1 a month on Patreon. It goes a long way towards, keeping the lights on, helping us, keep producing this podcast. And yeah, it just means a lot to us. Even more than that, though, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, etc., please comment or message us or email us. We love to hear their thoughts. So anyway, okay. Thanks everyone for listening. That's all for this week. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, do you remember when we tried to have a clever outro for every episode? We dropped that completely.